Greetings and welcome back to the Osha Cerese Show. I am your host, Osha Cerese, and this is where culture meets coaching, where healing meets headlines, and where we utilize alchemy to transmute gossip into growth. This is your daily reset, and if you are not already subscribed to my channel, please do so now. I'm streaming on both YouTube and Instagram, but again, this show is not always going to stream on Instagram, so you need to make sure you're subscribed to the channel. That is linked in my bio. It's youtube.com/Osha Cerese. And don't just subscribe. Turn your notifications on because as you can see, you never know when I'm going to pop up with the show. The goal is to be earlier in the day, but lately, baby, my schedule's just been turned backwards. I'm going to try to get it back on track come March. I got a new set of goals and there'll be some changes, but for now, make sure your notifications are on so you can join me live. For all the night owls that have been catching me live, thank you. I appreciate you. For everybody that's watching back, I appreciate you as well. Make sure you engage in the comments as you are watching it back so I can come back and respond to you. If you want to catch up with any of the old episodes, because I've been showing up every day in February, every day live for at least an hour, give or take a few minutes. Those videos are still on my YouTube channel under live videos. So the show lives on YouTube. So make sure you make your way over there. Made it here before midnight, y'all. I'm grateful. But anyway, I am Osha Cerese. I'm a certified life coach. I am an event curator, and I am your dream doula, helping you to birth your ideas into life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Drink of the day, drink of the evening. I told y'all yesterday on the show that I was going to make some fresh juice today because y'all know the first 2.5 weeks, 2 weeks, a little bit over 2 weeks, we were doing raw vegan and juicing, and I would give y'all my drink of the day. And since then, I've kind of fallen off of the juicing. So I told y'all yesterday that I was going to juice today and to make sure that I hold myself accountable and y'all hold me accountable to my word. Here it is. This is pineapple, mango, a little bit of blood orange, and a little bit of lemon. So cheers to happiness, success, love, joy, peace, blessings, and abundance. Cheers. You can't get this at the store. That's real good. It just struck midnight. My father lives in Colorado, but in Georgia, it is his 71st birthday. So shout out to my father. Happy birthday, Daddy. I love you. I'll call you tomorrow, Denver time, early, and wish you happy birthday. But shout out to my father. Let me see. Let me name some of the great qualities that he possesses and things that he instilled in me. My father is, first of all, he's handsome. He's talented. He was an actor, a theater major. I guess still is. I ain't never seen him act. Like, I want to see him on the stage, but I've heard him speak. I've heard him. He's an amazing, what they call it, orator. I don't know how to. That's a new word in my vocabulary that I ain't never used before. But he's definitely a talented speaker. He spoke for his high school. I have it recorded somewhere. He was the speaker of his senior class. There was a specific word for it, but he did the speech. He's a talented He can dance. He can sing. He's just an all-around talented man. He's intelligent. He has his bachelor's degree in African American Studies. He's pro-black. He is um, he stands on business. He's very prideful about his name and his bloodline and his legacy. Um, he doesn't. He's very big on loyalty. He don't switch up. Either he likes you or he doesn't, and the like you list is very short. So if you're in the like you list, congratulations, because that list is very short. But he stands on business about his beliefs and his standards and his values. Big on family. He is just, he has a great sense of humor. He's fly. Like, everybody's gonna tell you that if they know who he is, they definitely gonna tell you that he knows how to dress. He put that on. You can look on my page. I got a couple of posts about my dad. Um, loves very hard, um, and he commands respect. He's resilient, and he's expressive. I could go on and on. I can go on and on. But some of the qualities that he instilled in me is just integrity, being a lady. Of course, I got that from my mom as well, but being a lady. Um, Definitely like not being a clown for nobody. Being a leader, not being a follower. Being careful and being choosy and selective about who I have in my circle. And just how I carry myself. I got my cheekbones. I've gotten so much from my dad, but definitely, I can go on and on, but happy birthday. Shout out to you, Father, and I will call you later. And speaking of history, Black love, fatherhood, all the things, let's get into the Black History Spotlight of the day. This is so good. I think mango juice is like my favorite. Anything with mango is like top tier. Sorry, y'all. I got to get some gulps in while it's cold. So, y'all know since last month, we have had so many issues with planes, accidents with planes being in the news. From what I've gathered, these type of accidents happen all the time, but media is now pushing it very heavily. So since we have all this going on, I wanted to just spotlight some of the Black pioneers in aviation today. So today we're going to honor Eugene. I don't know how to pronounce the middle name because I think it's French. So I don't know if it's Jacques. Yeah, I know it ain't Jacques. We're going to go with Jacques. It might not be that either, but Eugene Jacques Bullard, the first Black military pilot in history, born in 1895 in Columbus, Georgia. Bullard fled the racism of the South and made his way to France, where he became a fighter pilot during World War I. Despite his bravery and skill, he was denied the chance to serve as a pilot for the U.S. military because of racism. Let me read that again because I read it like I can't read. I think I'm starting to get that auntie vision where I need to zoom in. Despite his bravery and skill, he was denied the chance to serve as a pilot for the U.S. military because of racism. Some of the other Black aviation pioneers include Bessie Coleman, who we hear about a lot. She was the first Black woman to earn a pilot's license, and which was also in France, because U.S. flight schools wouldn't accept her. Shout out to the Tuskegee Airmen, a legendary group of Black pilots who fought in World War II and shattered racial barriers in the military, and Mae Jemison, the first Black woman in space, breaking new ground in aviation and STEM. Shout out to those pioneers in aviation, Black pioneers. And furthermore, don't let the media scare y'all out of traveling and seeing the world and everything. Like, I'm scared every time I get on a plane. I ain't have to see all these plane crashes and planes flipping upside down and all of that to be scared. Every time I get on a plane, I'm scared. And guess what? The first thing I do when I get on the plane is I pray and I go to sleep. Whatever happens after that, I don't know. I'm praying. I pray when I get on the flight. If I'm still up, if I can't fall asleep, I'm praying the whole time during takeoff. Then I go to sleep, and then I pray the whole time during landing for a safe landing. Because sometimes people get a little lax, like, "Oh, we got to land. Let's let's relax." Mm-mm. I'm I'm not comfortable until I get off the plane, because it's like you get the landing. Sometimes it's rough, turbulence in the air is rough. Um, and then as soon as you land, people want to unclick their belts and do all this. Like, hold up, this the safety buckle sign is on for a reason. And you saw that with the damn landing in, what was it, Canada, in Toronto last week. They landed and flipped over. So don't be so quick to take your damn seatbelts off. Stop standing up as soon as the plane lands, because we got to get off row by row. So why are you standing up back here? It gets on my nerves, and I hope you don't think you're getting off before my row is let out. I'll be watching the people that's standing up, because I'm going to sit down and relax. Turn my phone on, check my messages. And when it's my turn to go, that's when I'm going to go. But anyway, I'm off subject. But don't let these people scare you. Say your prayers. Don't worry about it. Like, car accidents is probably like one of the least safest ways to travel, and you hop in your car every day. So just stay prayed up, continue to travel, continue to explore the world, continue to get out there and do what you got to do. And don't let these people scare you out of life experiences. That is so good. I wish y'all could taste it. Again, this was 1 pineapple, 2 mangoes, a half of a blood orange, because that's all I had, and 1 lemon. I'm sorry. I got to drink while it's cold. Hello. What is it? Drea. Is it Drea Liz Beats? I be feeling like an auntie these days. I'm 36. I still feel very young, but I still feel old as well. Like, I don't know if it's a millennial thing or if it's the way I was raised. Because again, my father is 71 today. And I was raised around older people. My mom is young. My mom is 58. But she was raised around a bunch of old people too. So I feel like a young granny, I guess. Like, I always say I have an old soul and a young spirit. Like, I'm young spirited. I'm just a girl. Like, I tap into my inner child. I have fun. I'm playful. I have a great sense of humor. I can dance. I can do some of the latest TikTok dances and relate to Gen Zers and Gen Alpha. So I ain't lame. But then at the same time, I could be best friends with an older lady. You start working with people that's older, they be your best friends. I'd have my granny tendencies. I use old people lingo. When I lay down in my bed at night, the first thing I say is, thank you, Lord. And rub my feet together until I fall asleep. So I don't know. You never know what you're going to get, young me or old me. But I don't know. Shout out to you, Drea Liz Beats, I think it is. Drea. Doc. I don't know. That's what I'm sipping on. Pineapple, mango, blood orange, lemon. So y'all, how are y'all doing? Because this is one of them days where I have a little bit of a topic, but I don't know how long the conversation is going to last, because again, this has been 25 days of talking. And I can talk with the best of them. I'm a certified yapper. But, I'm a busy woman as well. And it takes a lot to run a show when it's a solo show and you're the only one talking. So I appreciate those of you who engage with me and keep it going, keep my energy going, because my energy is I'm a little tired today, but that's okay. So the main thing that I wanted to talk about today, because my mom has a social club and support group called Zest for Life, and it is for women over 35 who have prioritized their spouses or being mothers or business, career, whatever else they've kind of neglected to pour into themselves, or they had dreams and life, has gotten away from them and they put their dreams on the back burner. And she teaches them how to rediscover their zest for life. So it's a support group where we have empowerment exchanges a couple of times a month. Um, and then outings, get together to pour into like rediscovering that zest for life, like hobbies, interests, passions, sensuality, femininity, healing, self-love, self-care. So tonight was one of the empowerment exchanges, and we were talking about communicating effectively with the men in your life and dating and relationships and things like that. And somehow I'm trying to think what the topic was that was presented. Um, I don't know if it was about. I know there was one question presented about like when do you define the relationship, or how long are you in a relationship before you have to define it, or something like that. I personally feel like you should define it at every stage. But anyway, it led to other conversations. And my motto, it has been this since probably right around the time, like maybe a year or two after I was divorced. I always tell people, lower your expectations, raise your standards. And this is one of my big dating tips when it comes to intentional dating. I really feel like you shouldn't have any expectations, but I would say lower your expectations and raise your standards, because sometimes your expectations are misplaced, or you're not. What I mean by lowering your expectations is a lot of people will have unreasonable expectations when it comes to dating. The example I love to give is, you want this man to be like completely monogamous and faithful to you, and you're expecting that of him. But according to his track record, he's cheated on every woman. He's known for cheating. He has, maybe you've seen on social media being blasted out about cheating. Like it's evident that he is a known cheater. But for some reason you expect him to be different with you. So I would say that's an unreasonable expectation, and it's an unfair expectation, because you're placing that expectation on him knowing that most likely he's not going to live up to it. But it's okay for you to have the standard of wanting a faithful, monogamous man. But if your standard is wanting a faithful, monogamous man, then that man ain't your man. And that's the thing that people ain't understanding. That's why it's very important to sit with yourself and find out, what are your core values and what are your standards. How does one meet your standards, not your expectations? So expectations are based on assumptions or social conditioning. They're often unspoken or assumed, and they focus on what someone else should do or what someone else should be. Standards are based on your core values, as I just said, and your self-worth. Clear, non-negotiable, and directly impact your well-being. These are standards. Clear, non-negotiable, and directly impact your well-being. They're focused on how you want to be treated and what you're willing to accept. So some more examples of unrealistic expectations. My partner should always know what I want without me saying it. Those are expectations that I hear a lot of women saying, and shoot, men too. Honestly, they should just know. They should just know this. And it's reasonable and it's unfair to your partner, because sometimes people just don't know. Now, it would be nice for them to know you well enough to be able to, basically predict or have an idea of what you want or what you need or what you like. That's great, because I think you should learn your partner. But sometimes people just don't know. You have to open up your mouth and communicate. Another one. They should respond to text immediately. That's the expectation. I had to learn. I had to learn back in my 20s as well about not taking things personal when somebody doesn't text you back immediately. And that's not just in relationships, that's just in general. So when it comes to like expecting somebody to text you back immediately in a relationship or dating, first of all, we're grown as hell. So that means we have other responsibilities and tasks to do that may keep us or prevent us from always being able to text immediately. You never know if somebody doesn't have their phone on them, if they're in another room, if they went downstairs, if they're taking a break from their phone for a second, if they're in a meeting, if they're working, if they're having a conversation with their doing business, having a conversation with family members, whatever the reason is, it's unrealistic to always feel like you want an immediate text back. First of all, go get you some business. Why are you sitting there with your phone in hand, waiting and counting down seconds to see when this person is able to text you back? I keep my read receipts on. Read receipt, read receipt, tomato. I call them read receipts. I keep mine on. Even if you see that I've read your text message, if you don't get an immediate response, that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm ignoring you. Sometimes I read it, but I'm in the middle of doing something else, so I know I'm going to get back to you. Or sometimes I'm doing something and I might have accidentally clicked it open when it came through, and I don't have time to respond to it right away. But just those expectations come with a lot of assumptions, and then you go into a rabbit hole. So go get you some business, figure out what you can do to keep yourself busy instead of holding your phone in your hand waiting on somebody to respond. And because if it was that important, call. It's apparently not that important if it's just a text, unless you in a situation where you need help and you can only text. If they don't respond right away, then text somebody else, because other than that, it's more than likely not even that important. Another unrealistic expectation: they should never make mistakes. Are you dating humans? Because humans make mistakes. So you got to be able to hold grace for people and understand now what type of mistakes they are. If it's a mistake, some people have said that they consider cheating a mistake. Oh, I made a mistake. That's not a mistake. That's a choice. That's a poor choice. So you have to determine what type of mistakes you're willing to accept or not. So some examples of strong standards: I require consistency and honesty in a relationship. Versus, I expect you to never lie. I expect you to never lie. Versus, I require consistency and honesty in a relationship. I expect you to never lie, and I expect you to always show up the same way or whatever. Like, again, that's placing the expectation off of them and putting it on what you require. So then you're able to determine whether or not that person aligns with you and your values and your standards. Another example of standard: I will not tolerate disrespect or manipulation. Period. I need a partner who is emotionally available and communicates openly. Great standards. So if you do not tolerate disrespect or manipulation, the moment you meet someone and they exhibit signs of being disrespectful, talking to you crazy, gaslighting you when you acknowledge how you're feeling, trying to coerce you into something that you're not comfortable with, whatever else that doesn't make you comfortable as far as how manipulation goes. Whatever, and you also have to consider what is disrespect to you, because some people disrespect is someone raising their voice, and other people don't mind you raising your voice as long as you don't call them a name. Some people don't really care about the name calling as long as you don't hit below the belt. So you have to find out what disrespect is to you as well, and what you will and will not be willing to tolerate. Needing a partner who is emotionally available and communicates openly. That means if you align with somebody that is closed off, is cold, doesn't let you in, is not vulnerable with you, not transparent, doesn't tell you anything about what they've been through, doesn't share, wants to know all your business but tells you none of theirs, not willing to get close to you, allow you to get to know them on a deeper level, doesn't have anything to talk about, gives you the cold shoulder or the silent treatment when they're upset, or they're not able to put in words how they're feeling. That's not for you to try to change. If you have the standard of wanting emotional availability and a person who communicates openly as your standard, and this person is failing the test, that's why it's important to get to know people for a while before you start jumping into these relationships. That ain't your person. So instead of lowering your standards to keep someone, just lower your expectations so you don't project the fairy tale ideas onto real people. What are your thoughts on this? Do you feel like you should continue to have expectations of others, or do you think that you should just maintain your standards? For those of you who are watching or come back and watch, that is your first question. So, because today was a long day, I just got a couple of random topics that we'll talk about. I was looking for some celebrity news, but it wasn't nothing really that interesting that I wanted to talk about today. So we'll get back to that tomorrow. So another thing that I like to talk about is I like to talk about compatibility over compromise. Compatibility over compromise, which kind of goes hand in hand with the standards and expectations too. Um, I would rather, I believe that compromise is necessary in certain cases. Um, I don't know if you've ever seen that clip by Eartha Kitt where she's like, compromise? Why would I do that? And I feel her on what she's saying. She's kind of looking at it as basically lowering your standards to keep or meet someone else's effort, basically. So I don't agree with that either. But sometimes compromise is necessary. Like, especially we talked yesterday about co-parenting. Just getting along. You're two different people coming from different upbringings. You have different ways of thinking and doing things. So sometimes you have to kind of compromise a little bit to get on one page as a couple. And I get that. But I feel like it works best when you have less compromise than compatibility. Like I keep saying it, shared values, shared interests. You know, you vibe with this person. Y'all rocking with the same similar mindset. You don't have to date a direct clone. That was another question that my mom asked earlier in her group is do you think you should be with someone who's just like you or like complete opposite? And I was saying that I don't think you should have to date someone that is your direct clone or exactly like you, but they have to have those, not have to, but it's nice for them to have the shared interests, shared values, and to accept your differences. So that is also a form of compatibility as well for me. I mentioned the fact that, I have my silly side. I have a great sense of humor. I like to joke a little bit. I like a little jokey joke. Um, you know, like to be silly sometime and tap into my inner child. And I was dating somebody who was real serious and dry all the time. So I remember he was laying in his bed and I was at his house. I was in the living room watching TV or something. And so I just was like, creeping down the hallway and went like this to just peek in at him, thinking it was going to be cutesy and funny. He like, why are you creeping? Why are you doing all that? Why you just didn't walk in? Sir, I'm just playing with you. Like, lighten up. So that type of stuff, like, if you can't understand my humor, um, I had another ex that didn't like, I don't know if he didn't like, but another time, like another dry, he had a good sense of humor, but for some reason, I guess whenever his mood wasn't turned up or happy and joyful, he felt like my mood needed to be like his. So I think I was like dancing or something in the living room, and he kind of just like tried to steal my joy. Like, so that type of stuff, I don't think you should compromise on at all. Like, have somebody that actually accepts your differences. Like, even if you're not as playful as your woman, you know, if you don't think it's cute or you're not able to get any type of enjoyment out of it, then you don't really accept the difference. You just don't get it. So I think that compatibility over compromise is going to be helpful every time. Like, you know, you have to have that balance. So I don't want nobody that's super um silly and goofy to the point where he's never taken anything seriously, because that's not cute either. But balance, like, let's have some balance. Let's be able to enjoy life and have some fun as well. On Ready to Love, which I told y'all I was going to record my review about Ready to Love, and I didn't do it yet. It comes back on Friday, so the goal is to have it recorded and published on YouTube by then. There was a guy on there that was super goofy, couldn't take anything serious, couldn't have a conversation without laughing or making a joke. And that's what I mean by being off balance with the sense of humor. Like, it's okay to be playful and to have fun, but you got to read the room, and there is a time and a place. Another topic: rejection is redirection. So, one of the things that I still work on personally is like rejecting men. Um, Let me think how to explain it. Basically, like, really turning men down, because it's some crazy men out here. And some people don't really understand that. Like, if I'm out and about and a man asks for my number, if I say, oh no, I'm okay, I really don't like to lie. Every now and then I've pulled the whole, oh, I got a boyfriend. They don't care. So, depending on the situation, how safe I feel or whatever, if they're persistent, right, they're not taking no for an answer, I'll just go ahead and give it to them to give them away from me. Um, and it's from I have a specific reason of why. Um, something close to homes that happened where someone rejected someone and it didn't go well. So I remember this particular time. I was in Houston. There's this little hood spot called Carrington, um, that everybody goes to on Monday nights. Real hood, um, great time. And me and my cousin were, off to the side. I think it might have been our first time there, dancing, minding our business or whatever. And this guy comes up to me. When I was dancing by myself, my cousin was sitting resting her feet kind of a little bit further behind me. So I'm just still dancing and having a good time. He comes up to me. He's talking. I'm not interested, but he's talking, trying to have a conversation. Um, I don't remember how it led up to him getting my number, but he got my number and he was like, "Okay, let me call you, so I could so I could check, so I can make sure that this is your number." And I was like, "Well, my phone is dead," because it was. And he was like, "Okay, um, you want to walk to your car so you could charge your phone up? You want me to walk you to your car so you could charge your phone up so I can call you?" I'm like, "No, I'm not doing all that. I got your, like, that's my number." He's like, "Okay." So when I tell you that whole night, every time I looked up, this man was staring at me. Literally every move I made, I see him across the bar in the club, like literally staring at me, like looking around people to make sure he never lost sight of me. It was so scary. So we had, me and my cousin made sure that her guy friend that she knew that was there walked us to the car. When I tell you, as soon as I plugged that phone up and it powered on, he was calling as if he had probably been calling back to back to back. And then he just kept calling and kept texting. And he kept calling me like probably for a year after that. Just randomly, I would get a call from him. So, it can be scary out here. But I will say that a lot of men, I'm not going to try to label it, but a lot of people can't handle rejection well. Specifically talking about men, because that's the type. I would say that women don't handle rejection well either, but it doesn't often lead to violence unless it's like a woman that has been in a relationship with a man and she's a violent type woman and maybe he left her alone or he cheated on her or whatever. Then I could see women being violent in those senses. But like when it comes to the initial um giving numbers or breaking it off, you see a lot of cases of men getting violent, and it's scary. And I think that it really starts from childhood, teaching young boys and young girls, but specifically young boys, teaching them how to handle rejection, teaching them self worth, because just because someone rejects you, that doesn't mean that you're not worthy of love. That doesn't mean that anything is wrong with you. That doesn't mean that you're not going to find your person or have luck the next time. So just being able to handle rejection and be able to understand that like this topic it's a redirection. Um, Even when it comes to like in the school system now, when we were kids, we had to compete. We were taught healthy competition. We had field day. You had I think it was blue ribbons if you won, red ribbons if you second place, maybe green, then yellow, then white, something like that. You had to compete and you might not always be the winner. And you have to be able to handle that. But now it's like folks is getting participation trophies and nobody wants to be told that the other person did better than so rejection is not being taught. Healthy competition is not really being taught unless kids are like in sports, but even then it's not like it used to be. So I think just instilling that, as we're dealing with the youth, so that as they get older, they know that, okay, this person rejected me. I'm not going to take it personal. I'm not going to internalize it. It's not going to make me feel bad about myself. I know who I am. On to the next, or, that was for a reason, we didn't connect, and keep it moving. Some of these grown people just cannot handle it, and they really crash out when somebody tells them no. It doesn't make any sense. I've seen videos. This one woman, I think she was going to her car, and the dude just kept walking behind her, and why are you doing all that? It just don't make no sense. There was a time in Atlanta, maybe a couple years ago, this girl was riding scooters downtown with her boyfriend, and the dude in his car tried to holler at her. And she rejected him, and I think he shot her in her leg, like literally just shot out the car. What's up? That's a whole other subject, but that's just crazy to me. I saw a video, this topic, the bare minimum epidemic, why so many people mistake basic decency for high value behavior. And that makes me think of this video that I saw yesterday. I don't remember her name. I don't know if I saved the video. Let me see. It's a lady that I always used to see on TikTok. But this was on Instagram. Yep. Her username is Past Perfect with Yaya on Instagram. And she was saying how a few years ago, 3 years ago, this man that she was dating made reservations for her and him for them at an Italian restaurant. And she was saying that she told him, I don't really prefer Italian food, but keep the reservations because it's been so long since a man made reservations for me. And she said that she was literally dragged for filth on the internet when she shared this story. And she was saying that, people were like, damn, you're getting that excited over the bare minimum. This is why men ain't doing this and doing that, because women are getting so excited about the bare minimum, yada yada yada. But she was saying that they're still together, and they've gone on so many trips out of the country and road trips and had so many amazing experiences. And she was saying that he had just went and bought her this specific lipstick because he listened to her when she said that she loved that particular brand, and that she thought it was going out of that it had been discontinued. And he listened to her and he surprised her with the lipstick or whatever. And she was just saying how, excuse me, that juice. She was just saying how considerate he is, and how he's been considerate since they first met. And if she would have looked at that reservation as just the bare minimum and not given him a chance and not been excited about it, then she might not still have been in this great 3-year relationship. And she said this is the man that she's, I think she said it was like the best man she's been with. I'm gonna just play the video since I found it. Let's just play it.
So you've been with me for a while. You probably were introduced to me when I made the video about the man who made reservations. I made a video saying I met a man on a dating app, and he told me he made reservations at an Italian restaurant. And I said, I don't eat Italian food, or I don't prefer it rather. But please keep the reservations, because nobody has made reservations like that for me in a while. Just made the plans. And if you remember, I said, where's my eyelash glue? Well, I'm still with that man. Here we are 3 years later. We have traveled to many countries, many cities, many road trips. We've lived in different houses and done different things. And I say all that to say, I remember so many people clowning me, saying that that was the bare minimum. How dare you get excited for that? That's why the bar is so low, because of women like you. And every day this man reminds me that I made the right decision by putting on my dress to impress him. And that had I listened to them, I would not be living in Santa Barbara, California right now with the man I'm about to go to Turkey with, that just went to the store and bought me lipstick. I'm obsessed with these lipsticks. I'm obsessed with these. These are All Day Maybelline Super Stay Matte Ink lipsticks. And the last time I went to a CVS, they were gone. And I said, I want to collect all of them before they disappear. I don't know if they're discontinuing them or if everybody loves them like me. And today, that man went to CVS to get me some sleeping pills. And he went over there and got me another lipstick because I told him I loved them. And they may be discontinued. Don't let these people convince you that your love should be according to their definition. You love and be loved according to your soul and your spirit and your heart. We are still together almost 3 years later. All because I got excited that he made reservations for me. And he's made me excited about life ever since. So if you've been with me for a while.
Okay, so I thought that was beautiful that you shared that, because I think, sometimes we can get into the fairy tale version of how we want our love life to be, especially for us hopeful romantics. Those of us who watch romance movies and love and all of that, like, we want everything to be a fairy tale. And also, because there are so many people that are bare minimum and the bar has went to hell, it is super low. You don't want to fall into that category of people that are impressed by minimal effort. But I thought that was sweet, because I want to say something, but folks aren't really being that intentional when it comes to dating. And simple things like that, like making plans and making reservations, it sounds little and simple, but it's not really happening as much anymore these days in modern dating. You rarely hear a man say, I made plans. This is what we gonna do. Be ready at, are you available on this day? Okay, boom. Be ready at such and such time. I made reservations. This is the type of, this is the type of attire. Just running it down, making the plans. So for her to get excited about that, and she even compromised with the fact that she doesn't really prefer Italian food, but she like, shoot, I'm not gonna be too picky about this, because I want to just bask in the experience of what you set up and the fact that you're taking the lead on this. And she got excited about it, and it paid off. So I broke a nail. So it's like, I believe you do need to make sure that you're not getting, I ain't gonna say getting excited, but make sure that you're not accepting bare minimum, because the lack of effort that you have experienced in your dating history. I'm not saying that, but not getting too up in the clouds with the fairy tale to the point where you can't appreciate effort when you see it. I'm gonna tell you an example, because I keep me a story time, because I've had quite an interesting dating history myself. But a bare minimum act that someone did to me when I realized that my standards were too low, and that my bar was in hell. This guy that I was talking to for a while, he didn't reciprocate the same type of love that I gave, and the same type of effort and tasks and gifts and things that I would give him. So one time we were getting ready to go to the movies, and we stopped at the corner store, and before he walked in, I was like, bring me back some Oreos. And I just knew he wasn't going to do it, because he wasn't that type of dude. He wasn't considerate, wasn't thoughtful, didn't really do much for me. This is pre-healing journey, y'all, so don't judge me. But then he went into the store, and when I saw him walking out, I saw a little thing of Oreos in his hands. And when I tell you, I was like, he got it! All excited about these Oreos. He got in the car. I was like, oh my God, I didn't think you would get it. And he immediately took the excitement away by saying, like, yeah, we're going to share these at the movies. So you didn't even get it for me. You got it because you like, we finna share this as a snack. But when I look back on that time, I'm like, damn, my standards were so low, and my expectations were so high, which is the main topic of the day: lower your expectations, raise your standards. I expected certain things from him that I wished for that just weren't him. He wasn't that guy. But my standards were so low that when he did exceed my expectations, or maybe um, match the expectations, that I was just so impressed. Girl, that's no. So you just have to know what exactly, you really have to do a lot of healing work too when it comes to when you've had a dating history that is not the best, to make sure that you are pouring into yourself and you are providing yourself with the things that you desire in life, so that it's not, you can't be easily impressed. So with that example of her saying it's been so long since somebody made reservations for her on a date, just a tip for us single people: start making reservations for yourself. Like, call up to a nice restaurant that you want to go to and say, you know what, I want to make reservations for one at 8 o'clock on Friday. Get dressed up, get fine, get cute, and go up to that restaurant and sit down at your table or at the bar, wherever you want to be, in your booth, and enjoy your meal. And that way, you already have set the standard for yourself. Um, One of the programs I recommend for those of us singles who have lost touch with how we should be treated and how we want to be treated is 5 Ways in 5 Days. That is my self-love program, teaching you how to incorporate your love languages into your daily acts of self-love and self-care. Something like that example was what I just mentioned, is doing that. If your love language is acts of service, that's an act of service to make yourself reservations. And that way, when you start dating again, or when you get into the market, that you'll, yeah, you can be impressed by that, but also know that, yeah, I do this for myself. So this is the standard that I've set for myself. Greetings, Kayla Henderson. What's crazy? The Oreo story. And then also, the 5 Ways in 5 Days program doesn't just teach you how to incorporate your love languages into your daily acts of self-care and self-love. It also teaches you how to uncover any blockages you may have for giving and receiving love. So I think that that version of me, when I was impressed by the Oreos, I want to say she had blockages. I don't think it definitely wasn't with giving love, because I gave a lot of love to that particular person. But it might have been receiving, because I wasn't receiving it. It wasn't reciprocal, but just knowing your worth, and knowing why this man is not meeting the standards, but I'm still here accepting it. I needed that program then, or I needed One Single Step at a Time, which is my 6-week healing program. That particular situation should really catapulted me into my healing journey, which is why I'm super grateful for the experience, because I could write a book just on that particular situationship. And there's a story that's going to come out soon, that I talk about one of the situations that I dealt with him, and then I'll probably elaborate a little more. But yes, One Single Step at a Time is a 6-week program that I designed to support people on their journey of healing, self-love, and self-discovery, specifically after toxic relationships, situationships, heartbreak, divorce, domestic violence, whatever, or just needing to heal your inner child, go through your relationship timeline and find out, what have I been through? What did I contribute? What did I accept? Why did I accept it? What are the root causes? Doing that shadow work, learning how to accept yourself, love yourself, treat yourself. You have some of the 5 Ways in 5 Days incorporated into the One Single Step at a Time program as well. And then, of course, we get into, your plan of action for your future, setting goals, setting intentions, and keeping you accountable on that. And then, of course, that program comes with coaching. Every 6 weeks, it comes along with coaching, and you get your How to Beat Single guided journal. 5 Ways in 5 Days comes with one coaching session. But you can also just grab you a journal, oshacerese.com, if you want to just do the work on your own, self-paced. It is very helpful. It's a very helpful tool to getting over heartbreak, to learning yourself, getting to know yourself, and a little self-discovery, self-love don't hurt nobody. And of course, you can always book a free discovery call on my website as well. If you don't know where to start or don't know how you want me to support you on your journey, it could be just one-on-one coaching sessions. Maybe you don't want to go through a program. Maybe you just want someone to hold space and you want to talk, or you want to work on a specific plan of action. I also do strategy calls for influencers, creatives, business people who need support on content. If you need support on digital products, ebooks, courses, things like that, I help with that as well. And of course, if you are a single, hopeful, romantic, intentional dater looking for love in 2025, you need to be a part of the Intentional Love Collective. That is a growing community and database that I'm hold on, y'all. I got a notification. I am collecting your information so I can match you appropriately. Or when I have my singles events, my speed dating events, I'll be able to handpick certain people who match shared interests, shared values, attracted to each other, because I find out what your type is physically, because that matters too. And it will allow me to curate some more intimate experiences. So the link in my bio has Intentional Love Collective. Check that out. And what's up, Z-Dog? I see you on Instagram. I see your comments. I ain't doing no fit check, baby. I was on another app live the other day, and they just kept calling for a fit check. And I'm like, I'm not standing up. Eventually, as the show expands, I will start doing fit checks, but not right now. I'm chilling. I got on the dress. Y'all done seen the dress before on social media. If you're not following me on IG, Osha Cerese, Osha Cerese everywhere. OSHACERESE. Look, I got updated pictures everywhere, honey. Thumbs up. I have to remember this is backwards. But I appreciate y'all for tuning in live. Again, if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe. I'm here every day faithfully. So turn your notifications on as well to make sure you don't miss out on these pop-up shows until I can get you a specific time. It's popping up. I'm going to be popping up. Make sure also, if you have a story that you want to share with me, something you want to unpack online anonymously or whatever, feel free to email me. Even if you have any feedback or concerns or whatever, email me at oshacerese@gmail.com. I will be glad to help you unpack some of the things on this show as well. Again, that's OSHACERESE@gmail.com. And let me give y'all a couple of journaling prompts to leave off with this evening. It ain't evening no more, tonight. Let's see. Okay, so we talked about lowering your expectations and raising your standards today. So what are 3 expectations you've had in relationships that may have not been realistic? 3 expectations you had in relationships that may not be realistic. Why does my finger look crooked? And on the flip side, what are 3 standards you refuse to compromise on moving forward? What you standing on business about? What are 3 standards you refuse to compromise on moving forward? Yes. Do you need some examples of unrealistic expectations, Z-Dog? And I will say, have you ever lowered your standards to keep someone? And what did you learn from that? I'm telling y'all, the most recent time that I lowered my standards, you know, I keep a story on that. The most recent time that I lowered my standards was over 5 years ago. I told myself that I wasn't going to be intimate, or basically I wasn't going to have sex with anybody unless we were on the same page and either in a relationship or heading towards that, like very intentional dating, you know, a deep bond. And I lowered my standard on that and went against my word. And I was like, I set that standard for a reason. And now that I've went against that, I realized that it wasn't worth it. I don't like the way I feel. and I've been abstinent ever since. That's what began my abstinence journey, is realizing that I lowered my standard and it wasn't worth it. So I've been standing on business ever since. Z-Dog says, lowering standards has ended me up with women who aren't very intelligent or add value to me. So you're lowering your standard is that you want to be with a woman who's intelligent and who adds value to your life. Can you give some examples of the value that you like for your woman to bring into your life? And what I'm gonna just give you the follow-up question. Give me some examples of the value you want your woman to bring into your life. And why did you, no, I ain't gonna say why. Just start there, because I have a follow-up question, but I don't want to I don't want to give you too much. I have a follow-up question though. For those of you watching on YouTube, this conversation is going on IG. I'm streaming on both right now. So I'm waiting for his response. If you all have anything you want to contribute to it, you can journal this at home or you can share it now while it's still on live. The journaling questions, excuse me, I've been drinking my fresh juice. It got me belching. What are 3 expectations I've had in relationships that may not have been realistic? What are 3 standards I refuse to compromise on moving forward? And have I ever lowered my standards to keep someone, and what did I learn from them? Let me see. 3 expectations I've had in relationships that may have not been realistic. Let me think. That's a great question. Okay, same person that I lowered my standard for. I think I had the expectation of him to court me, but it was unrealistic because his words didn't align with his actions. Like when we first met, he was like, "You look like," he's like, "You have a man?" I was like, "No." He's like, "No." He said, "Are you married?" I said, "No." He said, "You have a man?" I said, "No." He's like, I think he said, "You look like," no, he was like, "You look like you deserve a man," or something like that. So in my mind, I'm thinking he's trying to be that. I'm thinking you're letting me know you're being intentional on your shit right now. So I expected him to court me in that way, but it wasn't happening. And I think I felt like if I stuck around or if I gave a little bit of my energy and my time, that it would come eventually. You know, there were a couple of dates here and there, but it wasn't giving you're trying to actively pursue me. And I think he thought he was, but it didn't meet my standards. But I lowered my expectation was unrealistic, and I lowered my standards. So Z-Dog says, I'd love a woman who was like-minded with me, spiritual and mental, see things from outside of the norm. Okay. So in what ways did you lower your standards? Like the women that you were meeting, how did they not live up to your standards or meet your standards? Z-Dog says, nobody wants someone who you're basically being their parent, from teaching obvious stuff to funding their life. Common sense isn't common. Okay. So at what point, okay, let's get into this. So tell me about your vetting process. How did you meet these women, and how do you go about getting to know them? How do you go about how do you get to the point where you are feeling like you're parenting them, teaching them the obvious, and funding their life? How does it go from I met them to that point? Because I really feel like I hear a lot of men speaking on feeling this way as far as funding a woman's life, um, not being equally yoked in certain areas, feeling used, feeling like they're using all of their funds to support them or date them or whatever. But then I'm like, how did you get there? That's what I want to know. I will preach to y'all all day, every day about vetting. But everybody's vetting process is different. That's why I want to find out more. Met her at the doctor's office. She's a phlebotomist, so thought she'd be intelligent. Took her out a couple times. Dates were good. Conversation. When we made it official, she basically became a child. Okay, so okay, let's break each part of this down. You met her at the doctor's office. She's a phlebotomist, so you thought she'd be intelligent. I do see a lot of people making assumptions based on people's professions. And I do think that is a mistake, because it can be a mistake, because I know some college educated people, some very professional people. They have great careers and they're really not that smart. Um, that's why I've never been. I was I was dating this guy one time, or talking to him, and he basically tried to minimize my intelligence because I don't have a college degree, because I chose to go a different route, and he did. But it was like, I know I'm intelligent, and the things that we were going back and forth about, he wasn't making any sense, but he tried to basically shit on me because he had a degree. But everybody is not that intelligent just because they have these jobs. Some people are good at taking tests. Some people retain the information, they learn the skill, but they don't have it all. The lights are on, but nobody's home. So even like thinking that people that work in the medical field are the healthiest, or I dated this guy that said that he didn't worry about getting an STD check from the woman he got pregnant because she's a nurse, as if nurses have some type of protection against STDs. So, okay. And then you took her out a couple of times. Before you took her out, did y'all talk on the phone? Did y'all text? Or did you just kind of like exchange numbers and then instantly set up a date? The dates were a good conversation. So if she was able to carry a good conversation, was it just surface level things, surface level topics, or were you all able to have intellectual conversations? And then when you made it official, she became a child. What does that mean? Because some of us, I'm just a girl. Sometimes women want to allow the man to lead. We don't want to have to use our brains when the man is present. Was it giving that? Or was it like, I can't take care of myself without you type child? Turns out she didn't know how to manage money at all. Like, how are you at work starving calling me because you wasted your break scrolling TikTok? How old was this young lady? And was it a money management thing, or a time management thing, or I don't want to say common sense, but you're saying that she would call you saying she's starving because instead of eating on her lunch break, she was scrolling on TikTok? Please make it make sense. Now that love's taken over. I'm not a big talker, so I set up a date since that's what women always saying that they want. As a child, her brain made me her crutch. I'm 31, she's 29. I didn't even realize you were that young. Okay, you're 31 and she's 29. I mean, you said you set up a date. Okay, if you're not a big talker, but you want someone that's intelligent, when do you find out if they're intelligent or not? I think that it's my opinion about dating is that no, you have to find a balance because no, I think people take it too far with talking on the phone and texting for too long before a date is initiated. Like, I feel like once you've established that you like each other and you've gotten to know each other to the point where you find out that it's worth um, meeting in person, at that point, making a date. But just like, oh, we met, I'm going to set up a date for tomorrow. I think we need to shy away from that a little bit and vet a little longer before you waste your time, effort, energy, resources, money to meet someone in person. You're going to be sitting in front of somebody that you don't really even like because you haven't taken the time to get to know them a little bit before you go to the next step. Excuse me. And then the fact that something about her you liked, because apparently y'all were dating for a while, if you got to the point where you had a few good dates and then she's um needing you for certain things. So do you feel like I'm reading. Okay, so what are your standards that you've set now that you realize that that's not the type of woman that you align with? What are your new standards moving forward that you're not willing to bend on? There was immediate attraction off look, so I shot my shot. After 5 days, we were basically always together. So, what was the breaking point? Breaking point. Z, can I have $2,000 for my house and car note? So was it an immediate no, or was it a I can't do 2,000, but I can put five on it? Because are you the provider type? Like, are you the type that doesn't mind taking care of your woman financially if she meets your standards and if you do have the shared values and she matches you mentally and spiritually in all the ways that you want out of your woman? Or are you like, don't ask me for no money, regardless of where we are in our relationship, what you got going on? Just asking for money, is that an immediate deal breaker? And then if that was the deal breaker for her to ask you for the $2,000, then if she wouldn't have said that, would y'all still be together? And then once you respond, we're going to wrap this up and we are going to come back tomorrow, baby, because it is late. But I do want to hear what you have to say about these relationship standards that you now have and why this was your deal breaker. Again, the topic of today is lower your expectations and raise your standards. I don't know if you're typing or okay. It says I put 5. I don't get what that says. 5 times, but it started to feel like using add in the lunches. Oh, I put 5 in 5 times, but it started to feel like using add in the lunches. Okay, I'm understanding it now. You put 5 in 5 times, but it started to feel like using add in the lunches, taking time to take her lunch, and even paying for kids after school care. Okay. So I've heard enough. It basically sounds like you need to vet properly that she clearly didn't match your standards. You just saw something that you were attracted to. You said she had a good job, and you're like, okay, cool, let's go for it. The dates were cool, whatever it was that you got out of that. I'm sure she had a lot of things going on that shouldn't have been acceptable, but you got to take the accountability of what you didn't do to prevent it happening in the first place, and then how you continue to let it go on until you reach your breaking point. So if you want to further discuss this, unpack it, talk about it, come up with a new list of standards, boundaries, values, we could do that together if you want to do that. Or if you got it, you got it. But if you need support on your intentional dating journey and to avoid making that mistake again, go to oshacerese.com and book a call. It's been real, y'all. Again, you know, at the end of the day, raising your standards is about recognizing your worth. And lowering your expectations is about accepting reality while maintaining your non-negotiables. So you got to know those non-negotiables, got to know your deal breakers, you got to know your core values, all of that in order to know what your standards are, know what you're not putting up with, and know what you're not accepting. You don't have to settle for less. You just have to be clear on what matters most. I hope this episode gave you a little bit of insight. And I see you. Z-Dog says, definitely my fault. I should have known better than to help financially the first time, even before that. But it's okay. Give yourself some grace. You're going to do better next time. It's all gravy. I hope you all enjoyed this episode. Thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, youtube.com/@OshaCerese, OSHACERESE. Stay tuned for tomorrow. Hopefully we can get together a little earlier than this. That's on me. But I will talk to y'all later. Have a good night.